I just remember, like, a lot of my friends were really struggling with, like, what should I do? What should I do? Like, I want to join this club. I want to join this club. And I was like, well, why not try them all and just figure out where you're at.
Hey all, welcome back to Unmuted. I'm Alyssa, and today I'm here with
Connor,
Paige,
Maddie,
and Josh.
And today we'll be talking about the theater life, the theater stigma and stereotype, and how judgment shouldn't hold people back from what they want to do. So we're all in theater. We're in a play right now, Rumors, which I'm really excited about. How do y'all feel about it? Are y'all excited?
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the first show of the year, so I was really excited to get kicked off, start the theater season with a bang because we all are very strong actors and actresses. So I'm really excited to start off. The line load is definitely there.
It's definitely free. For me, I'm like, oh my God, there's a lot of lines. But then when y'all go, I'm like, I don't know how they're memorizing that. And then Josh with his big old monologue.
Yeah,
like,
that thing is very, very long. Yeah, the cast knows each other all really well, so I'm really looking forward to see the final finished product at the end of September.
It's like the big friend group just working together, so it's like super fun. And then for me, I feel like this is like a test of like my acting abilities because it's like a different character, which I like about that. What's like a role y'all have had that y'all are like, okay, that I'm not like that in person at all, so that's gonna be kind of challenging to take on that role, but like I want to see my abilities to go into that.
I feel like I'm very, like, I feel like most of my roles that I've had at Memorial have pretty much been the same loud roles.
You play it very
and
well.
I am a very loud person, so, I mean, they're pretty different. I mean, like, the role that I have now versus Charlene Buemiller is two different people, but yeah, I feel like the roles that I play have always been very loud, so it hasn't been too much of a real challenge.
My characters, at least the school ones, because I've done theater outside of school, but I feel like since freshman year, I've been casted in the sassy, like, one-liner characters that are just either in your face mean or passive-aggressive mean, or they're just loud. But I feel like in my old theater, I used to be casted a lot more as the, like, princessy type.
Yeah.
And that was always really hard because I liked being the villain that just got to, like, yell at people. I like being mean on stage because I don't get to do it in person without being called mean.
Yeah.
When I'm on stage, I have an excuse for it.
Yeah. And it's fun. It's like putting on this whole different character. Like, it's way harder than I feel like people think it is. Like, when did y'all get involved in theater? Like, were y'all young? Was it recently? Was it in high school?
So I joined theater off of a promise that I made to one of my friends. So I have a friend called Sophia that I have in theater, and at the beginning of freshman year, I told her, because she was like, there's not enough boys in theater, we need more boys. And I'm like, you know what, fine. By the end of the year, I'll audition for one. It was like May, and I was like, I haven't auditioned for one yet. So I was like, I need to go and do something. And the musical was coming up the next year for Guys and Dolls. And I was like, okay, I'll go and audition for that one, see how it does. I saw him doing the dance in my English class, so I was like, okay, why not? I was like, it looks a little interesting, so let's see what happens. So beginning of June, I auditioned, did my song, my monologue, and the dance for it. Went okay. And then I waited for 2 months to get a response. I thought, I guess I didn't make it. All right. And then I got a text one day from Sophie. She was like, cast list. You're on it. I'm like, that changes everything. Okay. Because that led to me kind of becoming a main part of my life.
Yeah.
Because if I hadn't made that role, I don't think I would have continued with it because I had other stuff going on. But after that, I met so many great people and I fell in love with the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of just got involved randomly at the beginning of junior year, which was last year for me. We were putting on a show, and we had to do we had to do one monologue for a grade, and it was 2 monologues to audition for the show. So I just decided I'll do one more because I quit soccer the year before, so I didn't really have anything to do I was just kind of there. So I decided to do one extra monologue, and I ended up getting a really fun role that I liked, and auditioned for all the shows after that, got into all the shows, and now I'm a theater kid.
I joined theater when I was 5, so very different from probably everyone here, maybe except Maddie. But when I was a kid, I was really loud, and I had a lot of energy, and I loved being center of attention and always trying to help the teachers, always trying to get on stage during church and grab someone's microphone and sing. But one of my neighborhood friends joined some like random dance club at a theater. And it's not a theater anymore, but it was called Broadway Center of Houston. And they had like dance camps and stuff, and my mom randomly signed me up for The Sound of Music. And I got Gretel, and I just fell in love with it, and I just constantly wanted to be on stage. And so there's not a point in my life where I don't remember performing, whether that was on a musical at some community theater or at high school or on the worship team at my church or just in my living room for my family during Thanksgiving. It's just all the time. It's just been, my whole life's just been performing, so.
Yeah. Me and Paige pretty much have the same exact story. I have always been loud. I've always been the center of attention. And I started off at HVAC, which is now Stageworks, and I did a couple of shows there. I wasn't very consistent. I did like a show in 2007, then I was like 3. 2012, 2016, like not very consistent. And then I got to middle school, and I started doing shows consistently, and then just kind of
and now it's
going.
like all involved. Like yours was off of a promise, you randomly did it, and now it's like a big old family. Like going is so fun. Like I enjoy going to theater. Some people will be like, oh, I have theater after school. Like, oh, that sucks, can't go home. And I'm like, I mean, I enjoy going.
Yeah, like because before theater, I played soccer for 10 years. Yeah, me and Connor were in the same class in high school for soccer. So, but I played for Klein Soccer Club for 10 years, a little bit of Dynamo Soccer Club, and I love soccer. It's a huge part of my life, and I'm a big nerd, so I did robotics club as well. In my school, I was the vice president of that for my sophomore year, and then I found the theater, and everything just seemed a little less important, because I could come every day after school and I could hang out with some of the best people that I've ever met. And it's been a blessing, in my opinion, to just have the environment that I've had to really prosper as a theater student and as a theater.
I'll say the good thing about our high school theater is I feel doing theater outside of school, it was constantly the same people, and you really couldn't become friends with them because you were constantly competing for the roles, because the only time you saw them was for rehearsals, for the shows, and then the auditions again when that show was over. So I feel like me and Maddie did shows when we were like 12 together, but whenever I started getting to the high school age, I had to make the decision if I wanted to do high school theater, if I wanted to do community theater, because I couldn't do both and put all of my effort into one and do the best that I could. And I tried doing 2 shows at once, and it just did not work out, especially with upper level classes. But I chose high school theater because I found all of you, first of all, and it just felt more like a homecoming too, and I felt like we could be friends without having the competition that's involved in, especially with girls, because there's less guys in theater, so it's like they always get a lead. But with girls, it's constantly like, oh, if my friend gets the part I want, then it's like there's that kind of rivalry there, and that's more than likely unspoken, but it's always there. And I feel like with high school theater, like we became friends outside of theater. Like we had classes together, whether it was math or English or
aquatics.
Again, aquatic science, where we raised a fish together. But but I just feel like we were able to build such a stronger friendship outside of that, and that's something that community theater was missing. So I'm really glad I made the decision to join high school theater last minute, I will add. But
going
really
off
good.
of that, how do y'all feel like theater is different than all other departments, like sports or band? Like, what do you think separates theater from that? What makes it so special?
Well, like I said, I was in soccer for 2 years, and I'm a bit of an interesting person. Like, a lot of people don't really understand me. So, a lot of people, including Josh, did not like me in soccer. But it just wasn't a good environment for me. And yeah, I just when I got into theater and started doing shows, and we all kind of became friends and had fun. The first show I did was a comedy, which was good because that's a really good one to like make friends doing. And yeah, I just felt more at home doing theater, even though it's not considered to be cool or whatever. I feel I feel more happy in theater than I have doing any other extracurricular thing.
Yeah, I consider theater more tight-knit than any other fine arts.
Yeah.
Because I always feel like for fine arts, there's always competition. Band, orchestra, you have competition for chairs and lead things. Of course, there's competition in theater, but I always feel like we understand how good of we are as actors and actresses,
Yeah.
and we appreciate that because we have to build off of each other in theater. We can't if half your cast is like not too great, that's not good for the show.
Yeah.
So everyone has to have the same kind of respect for each other in theater.
Yeah.
So I think that's where that part comes in. Because I do feel like in some other fine arts, it may be like, oh, you got that role, I'm better than you. And theater, I think most of the time, it's like, oh, you got that role? Oh, yeah, she's so good. I like the role I
Yeah.
got. So now let's work off each other to make the production really, really good.
Yeah, adding on to what you said, sometimes you're like not I want to say like not built for that role, but other roles are like more specified for that person or their talent abilities. Like
Yeah.
I feel like in other fine arts, it's like you either have to like show off for everyone, or like you're not going to get first chair or whatever.
Yeah.
But with theater, it's like whatever role you get, it's going to like specify to you and your
Yeah.
abilities, right? And there's an ensemble on the cast too,
Mm-hmm.
because like if I hated someone in the cast, it's going to show,
Yeah.
like you got to work together.
Mm-hmm.
I also think with theater we have a lot more freedom, and let me explain. We aren't dissing on any other fine arts here. It's not what's going on. But I feel like with athletics, you have to do the plays. With band, you have to play the music unless you're in like jazz or something. But in choir, you have to sing the piece. There's not a lot of choice what you get to do. In theater, sure, we have our lines, but we're able to add our own comedic moments and get our own private jokes. And there's little backstage moments. Not that the other fine arts don't have that.
Yeah.
But I think in theater, there's a bonding experience acting like a fool with your friends on stage. And it's like not a thing that a lot of people get to experience, whether that's because of the stigma around theater or the fact that most people just don't like being in front of people.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a freeing, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like part of the fun of going after school, like what you were saying, is that we get to go around and just joke with our friends.
Yeah.
And like today's rehearsal, we just came from like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But it was just us laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
And sure, we had to say the lines that we were
Yeah.
given.
But there's
But-
like moments that it's not so serious. It's not like no, like y'all need to stop. It's like we'll laugh if someone messes up their lines or someone says something really funny or someone does a character choice and you're like, whoa, I did not know you. Like Connor going up to Carter yelling in his ear. That was it's like I feel like that's some of the freedom you're talking about too is character choice, like our actor's choice going on there and getting like our blocking. We had like different blocking each time we went on, but it's just fun each time we do it. And even like behind like how because we're so close behind the curtains, so people don't see like us about to go on, like talking, getting nervous. It's such like a family built thing.
Yeah, there's a lot more. I think what Pedro said, there's a lot more creative expression in theater.
Yeah.
There's a lot more creative freedom. Like as you said, band, play this piece, choir, sing this piece.
Yeah.
In theater, find your character. Find the way you want to play your character, and it doesn't have to be the way the playwright wrote it. You can find different ways to show off what your character is about. I think that's what makes it really special.
Yeah, for sure. Going off of, y'all both said it, and I kind of wanted to go off of it. Why do y'all feel there's such a stereotype on theater kids? Because to me, anytime someone, Well, I mean, that's kind of like hypocritical because when I was like in freshman, sophomore, I was like, I can't do theater. There's no way. I am in cheer. I can't do theater when I do cheer because I won't be cool or I won't fit in. So I was like, I can't do it. But now, finally being involved, I look back and I'm like, theater's so cool. Like, to me, I'll tell people that. Like, they'll be like, I haven't been to a play. And I'm like, I think it's so cool. They're like, why? And I'm like, it's like shooting a live show, but you can't cut. If you miss your line, oh well, like, Jimmy's going to have to make it up and move on to the next line. And you can't show that you messed up. Or if that one prop that you were supposed to grab falls, improv. So I think it's so cool. But why do y'all feel people are like, oh, theater kids are so weird?
I'll let y'all answer this one first. We talk a lot.
I think some of it is behind maybe just the fact that it's getting in front of people. And I think maybe sometimes it's not really stigma. I think it's maybe like afraid of taking that first step into jumping in the theater department, because with each new organization, it's like there's new people, big scary seniors like us or something. I mean, they're like, I don't know if I want to join this because there's like new people. But theater, everyone is so welcoming to each other.
Yes.
So, and that's really important. I think sometimes other organizations maybe aren't as welcoming as theater, and people don't get to realize that because there's been this built up, as you said, stigma around theater about how it's for only these kind of people. No, theater's for everybody.
Yeah.
Anyone can do theater. I've told my friends this. I'm like, you need to audition. Anyone can do theater.
Yeah.
If I can do theater, you can do theater.
I feel like it's also more of a family thing because in sports, how you were saying earlier, it's competitive. I want this spot. You're not going to take my spot. Like in football, I'm quarterback. You're not. It's not happening, buddy. Like, no, who's this guy walking in here thinking he could take? But over here, it's like we're all auditioning. And if you make it, if you're casted, we're a family. We're together. I'm not going to look at you and be like, oh, she got a better role? No, what? I'm not talking to you. No, I have to work with you. And in my eyes, you got that role because you deserved it. You could play that character. And I think that goes off of, like, every role fits someone.
And it's like, it's really not like, oh, she got a better role than me. It's like, I got to work on my own role.
Yeah.
Like, I also have a buttload of lines to work on,
Yeah, for sure.
With the whole stigma in theater thing, like I said, I've been in it since I was 5. So I've never, like, had a moment in my life where I've been like, oh, theater kids, because I've always been a theater kid. But, and now it's, like, my one personality trait, besides Disney. But it's just, I feel like there was a part of my life where, well, when I first came to Tomball ISD, I was singing through the hallways because I would do that at my old school, and I thought that's how you made friends. And I was like, if everyone knows how good I can sing, everyone will want to be my friend. That's how it works. Not how it works. And then I joined the theater at the junior high, and I was like, oh, I've been acting longer than y'all. I got this in the bag. No one else liked that. Again, so there was for a while where it was really hard for me to make friends because I was super, super loud about me being in theater. And I really was only able to be friends with the people in theater. So going into high school, I hid it as much as possible. Like, unless you knew me or saw me walking into the theater hallway, I didn't wear the shirts. I didn't post about it. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't advertise the shows. Like, it was my safe space, but it also became a place that I was embarrassed of. And I don't even know if that's the stigma around it. And, like, obviously in all the high school movies, the theater kids are portrayed as the weird, like, artsy kids with the colored hair that are, like, walking down the hallways wearing black and everything. But it's just, like, that's not who we are. And, like, I forgot if Josh was saying it, but how everyone is in theater.
Yeah.
And it's from people who maybe are the artsy kids, or people who are cheerleaders, or were soccer players, or ride horses. But, like, everyone's there. It doesn't matter who you are. Like, that's just a place where we can get out there and do what we want.
Yeah.
But recently, like, it took me a while. Obviously, freshman year wasn't that long ago, but it took me a little bit to realize that I'm like, even though I still may be like I may say theater and some kid in my class goes, what? But like now I'm not embarrassed of it. Like I'll post about every single show. I run the theater Instagram, so I repost almost every single story on mine. I post them on my Facebook, my TikTok, like it's everywhere. If you just look briefly at my social media, you'll see I'm a theater kid. But it took me a while to realize that I shouldn't be embarrassed of that because that is my safe space, like I said earlier. And that's the place that I feel like I really have my friends. And if people think I'm weird because of that, I don't want to be your friend. Yeah. Sorry. But, and that's not any mean way. That's just, if you're going to judge me before you get to know me just because of a stereotype. Like there's a stereotype that all athletic kids are mean. There's a stereotype that band kids are weird. Stereotype that cheerleaders are mean. Like there's so many different stereotypes where it's like, if you're going to not be my friend just because of that, then I don't think we're made to be friends, you know?
Yeah, I think, you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, but I always think there's a bigger stigma around guys being in theater than girls. Yeah. Because, you know, you get called the names and stuff like that, and it's just one of the things that's like, it's not considered very manly, you know what I mean? Like, so I remember I was in soccer for a little bit, and we had to wear the Guys and Dolls shirts. And I was like, I don't know if I want to wear this in the locker room because I don't know how guys are going to think about that and stuff like that. Or I don't know how guys are going to judge me. So I didn't really talk about it too much. I'd be like, they ask me if I'm show. I'm like, yeah, I'm in my show. And I'd like walk away and stuff like that. But I've gotten over that because I've realized that, as Paige said, if you're going to judge me for that, that's your problem. I don't need to listen to that because there's no point in listening to it because it's just going to bring me down. And there's and I love this. I love the theater. I think it's great. And more people should really consider doing it because it's just a great place to have so much fun and to meet some amazing people.
Talk about a double stereotype right there. Horse girl and theater kid. Let me tell you about that.
Yeah, so I kind of had that stereotype of theater kids when I first got to high school. I'd see them at like sitting at their little table at lunch, and I'd be like, they're weird. But I just didn't. I'd say stereotypes somewhat exist for a reason. Theater definitely like draws the more like it takes a lot of confidence to do theater. So typically people in theater are like big characters, big personality, which is a good thing, but when you don't know them, like you can feel like it's not a good thing, and you're like, oh, they're weird, they're different than me. But that's not the right way of thinking. Yeah. So
like us at y'all at orientation with Maddie in a dinosaur suit and everyone with hats on and Mr. Blue riding a skateboard around.
I put the dinosaur on for the second one. I had so many little kids come up to me and ask to take a picture. I was like, this is training to work at Disney, I guess. But
yeah. You get to the point where I've gotten to the point I don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
Well, like, even, like, when I was, like, younger and, like, in middle school and intermediate school, I've always been, like, that loud personality. Like, literally, I keep saying, but I've always been just a loud personality. You can ask anyone. So it's just the point where I feel like people expect it from me now. It's like, she's in a dino suit.
It's a regular Tuesday.
Yeah.
I do think a good thing about theater that after you get over the stereotype, like sitting here looking at y'all, I don't think I would have become friends with any of y'all if it wasn't for theater. And that's not an insult, I promise. But just like we're all from such different walks of life. Like, and I think like even if like stereotypes weren't there, like if I didn't know you were a cheerleader, I didn't know y'all were in athletics, I didn't know that you were a horse girl or anything like that. I just feel like that's not an insult. But I just think like I don't think I've ever seen y'all at school if it wasn't for theater. Like we all have class together and like we raised a fish together last year, but like other than that, I don't think we would have talked outside of that class.
Yeah.
Here's the question. You think you would have raised the fish together if y'all were in theater together?
Maybe not.
Who are you?
Yeah, because
she keeps singing.
Yeah,
I dissected a shark for you, Alyssa. I think that says a lot.
I missed that day.
Yeah, because Paige is right about that, though, about how people from different walks of life meet in theater. It's that little central location where it seems like you can get anybody. And I think that's the thing, we need to start getting a more variety of kids, especially guys. I've always been, since I joined theater, I've always been an advocate for we need more guys in theater because there's not enough. Blatantly, there's just not enough.
Yeah.
And that becomes a problem when you're trying to do shows. And the guys think, oh, that's weird. I don't want to do that. That's so unmanly. That's so feminine.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't do that. That I'd be uncool.
When in reality, I feel like y'all have so much more confidence and so much talent that I feel like they realize it, but I don't know if I use the word embarrassed. They just don't have that confidence, or just kind of, oh, let me put them down because I can't do that. Like, I couldn't get on. Like, I'm like y'all are learning these big parts. You have a monologue that's like 2 pages long. Like, what guy at our school will be like, hey, go learn this, become this character, go do it on stage in front of hundreds of people.
Yeah,
Go do it. Like,
yeah,
you know?
I don't think it's they can't do it. I just think they think I won't do that because people will look at me differently. And yeah, some people have looked at me a little differently because of it. I've maybe gotten some looks and all from people, especially at orientation people. But
In your pirate hat.
Yeah, you just gotta learn to ignore those looks. Life is about having fun, and I don't want to have any regrets at the end of it. And I would have definitely regretted not doing Guys and Dolls and not doing theater if I decided, you know what, no, cross my name off for that role. I don't want to do it because I don't want everyone to look at me weird.
Yeah. Well,
I do think with theater, there's a lot of what's it called? Like, there's a lot of excuses people give, like, for wanting to join theater. Like, I know our director, like, every single time he's like, oh, it builds up your confidence, it builds your stage presence. But I do think it helps you in the long run, honestly. Like, it helps you feel more confident in yourself. Like, there's a lot of times where I can remember I would start saying something in class, or we'd have to read something in class, and I'd be all timid and like, I don't want to talk in front of everyone. Like, that's embarrassing. Who talks in front of people? But even though I was in theater, I just wouldn't do it because, like, no one else in my class liked talking, so why would I like talking? That would make me different and weird. But now, like what Maddie was saying, like, people just started expecting it from me. Not necessarily that I wear, like, Hamilton shirts around everywhere, but just from, like, day one, I've been that one person that's like, good morning, Miss Teacher, like, always talking to her, always, like, I've gotten to the point where there's one thing that my mom always says, that she loved high school for certain parts of it, but there's a lot of things in high school that she genuinely doesn't remember. And not, like, it's just, what's the words? I'm really bad at English. But I think right now, like, everything that we're going through seems like a really big deal. It seems like this is main points in our life. Reading that one Shakespeare paragraph is just going to make or break our day. But, like, honestly, I think I'm going to remember, like, being on stage and having fun more than I'm going to remember being embarrassed in front of my class that one time. So I just got to the point where, like I said earlier, I realized that, like, this is what makes me happy, so why am I embarrassed of it?
Yeah.
And I know I'm hopefully speaking for y'all too. I don't want to claim that I am and I'm not. But it's just now, what's the point? Like, even if there is a stereotype around it, even if, like, we are embarrassed, even if kids do make fun of us, like, sorry, we're having more fun than you.
Yeah, I know when I, like, first got involved, because I didn't do it at first because I was like, oh, I'm in cheer, the theater, that's totally different. But I honestly, I can't speak for anyone at the school, but me wanting to be in theater, I, like, idolized the theater kids. I was like, that is so cool. Like when I would go see plays, I'm like, oh my God, I want to be up there. And I'll be like, why don't you audition? And I'm like, no, I can't audition. What? No, can't do that. But then going into quarantine and finally, like, you kind of got that time to, like, grow yourself alone. And I kind of realized I'm only in high school for 4 years. In my junior year, I've been wanting to do theater and I haven't. I'm not going to see probably any of these people in high school, only, like, the close friends. I'm not going to see them in college. So why should I care what they think? At the beginning, finally getting a role, the first time I auditioned was, whoa, didn't know that was gonna happen. Even though it was like 6 lines, I was like, this is crazy. I was embarrassed at first. I like to see y'all reposting things. I was like, oh no, I can't repost that. And it's like, no. But now it's like, I'll talk about it openly in class. They're like, you're gonna go see the next play, right? And I'm like, I'm in it. You should go see it. They're like, last time I went to go see a play is because I had to. I'm like, well, you should go see this play. It's super funny. I would like tell them about it. And like, I'm very open about it now because I do enjoy it so much, and I've made such a family and like so many friends in it. And it's like, think what you want to think. I'm having my own fun. At the end of the day, I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and I wish I would have done it, sooner, because it's such a close family. It really is. But what would y'all tell someone who is like afraid to get involved in something? If it is theater, maybe it's band, what would you tell them if it was talking to yourself before you did it and you were afraid, or you felt like you were going to be judged, or like they're weird? Like, what would you tell them?
Just do it. I'd like
do it.
the Nike thing. Yeah, just do it. But
not sponsored.
Yeah, like you said, you have a very limited amount of time. Like, I really wish I got involved in theater quicker. Like I said, I just got involved last year, and once I was involved, I wasn't really embarrassed of it. Like, I have a big TikTok about men's fashion. I posted something about theater on there. So I was always open about it. But yeah, once you're in it, you can always back out, but you may really like it. And that's true of a lot of things. I not just theater, but anything that you want to do. Yeah. It's better to give it a try and fail than not try at all.
Yeah, theater's become like an escape for me, because life can get pretty overwhelming at times, especially these last year and a half. It's been pretty crazy, to say the least. And with all the things going on in the world, with all the issues that we have, it's nice to go somewhere for just 2 hours a day and just escape into that character and have fun with your friends. And to say that to the people that maybe want to do it, as Connor said, you have to try. You have to make that first step. And once you make that first step, I promise you, you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, not even theater.
Yeah.
Just anything you want to do. Just humans need an escape. I think high school is really bad at telling us, especially our high school, not saying Tom Memorial sucks, but it's just, they tell us from freshman year. My sister's in 7th grade and she's taking a college readiness class. And I just think from such a young age, we're told, like, we have to go to high school. We have to pick one thing and stick with it all throughout high school, or we're jumping around, and what's the point? And then we have to go to a 4-year, and then we have to get an amazing job and live with our beautiful family and 4 golden doodles. Like, we have, like, a life, and that's what they've put in our heads that we have to do, or else we've failed. Like, going to a 2-year and transferring, or taking a gap year, like, that's, like, they make you feel bad, I feel like, almost, for wanting to do something that's not a 4-year plan. But I just remember, like, a lot of my friends were really struggling with, like, what should I do? What should I do? Like, I want to join this club. I want to join this club. And I was like, well, why not try them all and just figure out where you're at?
Yeah.
And, like, I did choir for a little bit because I love singing. It wasn't the place for me. I did Stuco. I did, like, all these different places. But theater was the place that I felt the most comfortable. And so people who may be listening, like, we're obviously advocating for theater because that's what we do. But obviously, like, you may join theater and hate it. I've had friends that I forced to do theater, and they did, like, a show or two, and it just wasn't for them. But, like, there's nothing saying you can't try other things. And I think that's a big thing, like I said, in high school, where you are supposed to pick, like, one thing and do it all 4 years. And if you haven't found it by, like, freshman or sophomore year, there's no point. But, like, Connor joined, and now, like, I can't imagine theater without him. Josh joined and did musical, which is one of the hardest things to do, first of all. But now I can't imagine, like, showing up to rehearsal and not having him play my fake husband. But it's just, like, humans, like, from such a young age, that's why parents put us in random cheerleading classes and random voice lessons and things, because, like we just need, as humans, we need some place where we can go and just live outside of our room and grow ourselves as humans, whether it's just from age of 2 and going to daycare and socializing, or in high school doing a random swimming class because we just want to be more athletic or something. I just think, like everyone's been saying, you just have to, because there's no point in being embarrassed or being ashamed or feeling like, oh, it's too late. There's no point in doing it. I'll just do it after I graduate or something.
Yeah.
Like it's better to start now and realize it's not for you than just keep pushing it off and then regret not even trying.
I was just going to say that, because then you end up regretting. Because I missed 2 years of something. I could have met y'all sooner. I could have had that family bond sooner. And I could have had so much more experience. And I just kept pushing it off. And like I said, joining it and finally auditioning, it like really changed. Like, I actually have something that I enjoy going to. I'm like, okay, I get to leave early to go to theater. I'm like, they're like, oh, that sucks. And I'm like, oh, it doesn't suck. I'm good. I'm good at going. But I feel like overall, just telling people, don't have that judgment hold you back from what you want to do. If you want to join band, if you want to try theater, if you want to, whatever it is, and you're like, I can't do that, you can. It's high school. What the person next to you, what Jimmy and whoever thinks about you doesn't really matter, because you won't see them in college when you're doing what you love. But I'm really thankful that y'all came on to talk with me, especially on a Thursday. I know we have school tomorrow, but I'm really glad y'all came to talk to me. I feel like we had a really good conversation. I feel like someone who is feeling judgment right now and is holding themselves back from doing, I feel like they can finally be like, okay, maybe this is a sign to go do what I want to do. But thank you so much. And make sure y'all go follow our Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to the YouTube at Church of Champions. And I'll see you next week.